Now, the Pope's in Washington, gave a speech to Congress, and there are a lot of Catholics in Congress, including a lot of Republican Catholics. One of them decided to boycott the speech. I'll get to him in a little bit. But two of them are very prominent. One is John Boehner, Speaker of the House, sat behind the Pope as he was giving his address. Afterwards, the Pope came out to the balcony and addressed the crowd. The speech was in English. English obviously not his first language, and he did the best he could. When he was addressing the people, he was speaking more off the cuff, not with notes, so he spoke in Spanish. I don't know if that's what led to this. Boehner amuses me. What is that? So he's clearly crying. There's a question as to whether he's faking it. We'll ask you that in a second. But, with Boehner, he cries a lot. So I'm not that surprised, and it's probably sincere for whatever reason in his head. But what was with the mouth? I don't know. What was that? Okay. Anyway, no, I know probably not because the Pope was speaking Spanish. He's like, no, do it in English, please, please. But you remember, Boehner's Catholic, former altar boy, moved by the scene. Bless his heart. Okay, now we go to Marco Rubio. When the Pope is talking about immigration, the cameras go to Rubio, because obviously it's a big issue in the presidential campaign. He's a senator. He's in the audience. Now let's watch Rubio's reaction.
I say this to you as the son of immigrants, knowing that so many of you are also descendants of immigrants. Tragically.
Oh. What is it with Rubio and water? There's always some sort of water controversy with him. I'm calling bullshit. I don't believe Rubio was actually crying there. He knew the camera was coming to him when he spoke about immigration and being the descendant of immigrants. And he's like, I'm such a Catholic. All right, so first of all, TYT app, you guys go vote. Already there's a lot of votes in, and we didn't even do the story. You guys are already up and at him on this. 74% of you are saying so far that they're faking it. 26% say no, they're genuine. I'm split on that because I think Boehner does cry a lot, and I think he's probably genuine about it. I don't know if it has to do with his drinking. Anyway, but Rubio, I didn't believe for a second. Now, what does Rubio actually think of the Pope? Putting the fake tears, crocodile tears aside. Well, a Think Progress article described Rubio's position on the Pope in regards to Cuban policy, the policy that President Obama had to actually restore diplomatic ties. In a press conference, Senator Marco Rubio blasts the deal for the simple capitulation to an authoritarian regime. Rubio, who's Catholic and a Cuban American, directly criticized the Pope for his role. What happened? I thought you were crying about, the Pope. No, it turns out you actually don't agree with the Pope, don't like him very much. Anyway, let's take a quick look at one of the things he said in that press conference.
Well, I would also ask His Holiness to take up the cause of freedom and democracy, which is critical for a free people, for people to truly be free. I think the people of Cuba deserve the same chances to have democracy as the people of Argentina have had, where he comes from, as the people of Italy have, where he now lives. Obviously, in the Vatican's its own state, but very nearby. My point is, I hope that people with that sort of prestige on the world stage will take up the cause of freedom and democracy.
No, he wasn't crying back then, right? So, no, they don't agree with the Pope. They don't agree with any of it. It's like the idea of peace. Like, we'd make peace with the Cubans. No, we're not for peace. We're Republicans, okay? So, now, Rubio, though, is not the most egregious case at all. It's Congressman Paul Gosar. He's a Republican and he's a Catholic. And he explained in an op-ed that he wrote that he will not be attending, okay? And he said, I was super excited when I heard the Pope was coming. I'm a great Catholic. I'm an awesome Catholic, okay? But he said that he had misgivings about what the Pope was going to say, and he explained it this way. He said, if the Pope stuck to standard Christian theology, I would be the first in line. in other words, if the Pope stuck to being conservative and doing conservative propaganda on behalf of our political interests, well, then I would be in favor of him. But if he's going to go running off at the mouth about Jesus and the poor and the needy, no interest. So he went on to say, artist and columnist Maureen Malarkey effectively communicated this fallacy about the Pope, stating, when papal preferences, masked in a Christian idiom, align themselves with ideological agendas, e.g. radical environmentalism, they impinge on democratic freedoms and the sanctity of the individual. In other words, if you're doing leftist ideology, well, you're impinging upon my freedom. If you're doing right-wing ideology, well, that's what the Pope should be doing, okay? You should be on my political side, and if you're not, I'm really mad at you. Wait a minute, I thought you were a good Catholic and you listened to the Pope. Aren't you supposed to follow the Pope? That's the whole point of the Pope, and if you're a Catholic, right? Now, if you're a Protestant, it's a little different. Obviously, if you don't believe in Christianity, totally different. But if you're a Catholic, you're supposed to listen to the Pope. The Pope's supposed to be talking to God. He is your spiritual leader. And now you're saying, it's a little inconvenient. I mean, it doesn't help my agenda. Where's the tax cuts for the rich? Okay. I mean, if he's pursuing a different agenda, then I hate the Pope. Well, then you're not really that religious, are you? You just pick and choose, and you care a hell of a lot more about politics than you do about religion. Okay, so he says, and an opportunity to address he said this is what he should have done. To address the enslavement, belittlement, rape, and desecration of Christian women and children. To address the condoned, subsidized, intentionally planned genocide of unborn children by Planned Parenthood in society. And finally, an opportunity for His Holiness to refocus our priorities on right from wrong. So if he was a right-wing radical and did a speech, a political speech, talking about how Planned Parenthood does genocide, then he would have been like, yeah, that's the Pope I signed up for. I like that conservative Pope. Otherwise, the Pope. I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I'm not even going to talk to him. So which one is it? Are you a Catholic or are you not a Catholic? You're not a Catholic. You're not religious. You don't really care. All that time you pretended to care about what what your religion says and how you follow it. You didn't mean any of that. You only wanted to follow it if it led to tax cuts for the rich and more war. When it doesn't, all of a sudden you hate it and you don't even want to listen to the guy. Pope who? He says when the Pope chooses to act and talk like a leftist politician, then he can expect to be treated like one. And when he acts and talks like a right-wing politician, well, then he's the Pope. No, you don't get to decide what the Pope says. That's why you're not the Pope. If God wanted you to be the Pope, he'd have picked you, but he didn't. Now, I don't believe in that stuff, but you tell me you do. You saw the white smoke. Were you in that room? Who picked him? Okay, now, the guys who've been telling me my whole life that I need to bow down in front of their religion, now all of a sudden, they won't even respect their religious leaders, won't abide by their own religion, and won't even listen to the Pope because it's a little inconvenient. The Pope's not for killing more people. The Pope's actually for peace. The Pope's not for the rich. He's actually for the poor and the needy. Yuck! I didn't mean religion. I didn't mean the Pope. Damn it all. That's what the Republicans are saying now. Young Turks.